Hi, it's Wednesday, April 28th, and this is going to be sort of a walkthrough video of our new building, which is what you're looking at here. So here's the main building over here, and this is what we refer to as the shed. The shed there is going to be going away at some point because it's in the way and we don't want it. But I thought I'd do a little walkthrough video. So as you can see, it all looks different in real life. You saw pictures in the first video. Up there, sort of on the side, up there, there's the remnants of a business sign. It's something repair shop, don't know what it said. So what we've learned about the building since we bought it was built in 1955. It was built by a fellow named Walt, and it was always an automotive repair shop. At some point in the 70s, it was purchased from Walt by the lady that we bought it from, and she never had a business of her own here. She always leased it out, and it was always some kind of automotive or repair shop, or for a while it was a trailer shop where they repaired trailers you pull behind pickup trucks and things like that. Trailers around here are pretty popular, and as you can see, here we are on the road, looking up the road up here. This is what they consider here to be a fairly well-traveled and busy road with a lot of traffic, a little bit different than our perspective coming from California. And you can see here, we've got a little bay door here, big door here, another door here, and this is the door into the office. Let's go inside. In all of its glory. This is not smell-o-vision, but if it was, you would get that distinct smell of wet and probably rotting wood. Here you can see the little office. It's concrete block also, original to when the building was built. And as you can see, because of the roof condition, it's been leaking water for a long time, and it's all in pretty bad shape. Over here, it's sort of like an Egyptian tomb. Here you've got some remnants of stairs that used to go up. Our understanding is that the stairs were taken out by someone who leased it a couple leases ago because they were so rotted from termites that they were unsafe. And here we've got a little pass-through that looks into the workshop area. And I imagine that this is where the gal in the office, who we all know is the one who really runs the business, she would look through there and yell at the guys, "Get to work," or "There's a phone call," or "When is Mr. Jones's Pontiac going to be done?" This is all going to end up going away. We're going for an open concept. Here we've got some nice vintagey doors in the concrete block. And as you can see, it hasn't rained here in, well, it's been almost a week. And as you can see, we got water on the floor. Kind of green, got some rotted timbers, because if we look up there, you can see all the roof joists are broken and collapsing. And if you look really carefully right about there, you can see how the roof sheeting is where the rafters have broken and pulled away, how it's starting to collapse in on itself. There is no threat of imminent collapse in my opinion. Other people have different opinions about that, but I personally am not too worried about it. If we walk around this way, you can sort of get a front view. There's one of the roll-up doors. And up here, this is sort of the loft area that's above the office. And obviously it's been leaking up there also because you can see it on the office ceiling. And that was when the stairs were there. I'm pretty sure that was used for storage and so forth. Ultimately, all of these interior concrete block walls go away. Back here, right there, we have a bathroom. And it's a pretty snazzy bathroom. We've got, kind of hard to see, no lights. There's no power turned on here. Power has been disconnected. You got a toilet that's been disconnected, a sink, and it's actually got a tub shower. Why does it have a tub shower? Beats the heck out of me. Maybe somebody was living here. Maybe it was for the night watchman. If we go over here, this has obviously been added on because they didn't have OSB boards in the 50s. You know, must have had a bathroom when it was new, I would assume. I don't know about the rest of it. It's hard to tell, so dark in here you can't tell. The floor doesn't look like it's ever been jackhammered up, so who knows. Over here in this corner, you can see maybe right there, there's an opening in the wall, and somebody stuffed some fiberglass insulation in it, and you'll find out what that was for in a little bit. So here we've got some really good old-fashioned steel windows, single pane glass, and at one time the center sections of all of these, this one's actually got a lock on it. We're not going to unlock it. I'm not going to tempt fate. The center section of all these windows would have awninged out. They were probably hinged at the top, and they would have swung out, or they would have turned. You would have twisted it this way to open it up, get some extra air or light in here. But ultimately, all those are going to get changed. You got a bunch there. A lot more very questionable roof activity going on up here. This section right here, particularly bad. And one of the cool things here is you've got this steel beam, let's see, right here, runs across here, and right about there, there's the remnants. It's sort of a trolley that slides on it and runs across there and sits on a pilaster. Pilaster is basically a stack of concrete blocks. And at one time, on the trolley part, which is about there, the owner, the lady we bought the property from, there was like a hoist pulley arrangement, and that's what they used when they had to pull engines out of cars. So it's kind of a cool old remnant. We're going to see if maybe we can incorporate that into the new building as part of its history. Over here in the corner, in each corner actually, and in the center, here we have, right here, it's another pilaster that goes up and up and up and up. And if you look carefully, right here where this dark seam is, it's actually pulled away. If you look up here, you might be, it's a little hard for me to see this on the screen, so I'm pointing where I think it is right here. You can see how the blocks have shifted, and it's sticking out past the top 4 blocks probably every bit of 2 inches. So that's kind of leaned over or shifted. Nobody, including the structural engineer, has any idea why they would have put that there, because it's not really tied into the wall. I suppose the idea was to make reinforce the corner and make it stronger, but it's not really woven into the concrete blocks. So nobody sees the point. And then we have the big 10 by 10 overhead door. It's a 5-section door. It's 10 feet wide, it's about 10 feet tall. We're going to keep the door. We're not going to keep this door. We are going to keep the opening, and we're going to put in a modern roll-up door instead, so it doesn't roll back into the space on the tracks like it does here. It just rolls up into a tube like you would see in a modern building. There's something that seems appealing about having a big opening where if you needed to pull the van into, or if you had a big order or something and you need to unload it, you know, the guy can come on the truck. He's got a pallet jack, takes it off the lift gate, rolls it into the shop, and we're good to go. So we're going to keep that. Also, that way we don't have to close up the opening. By the time you close up the opening, and you would have to put a door of some kind and maybe another window, by the time you do all that, it's about the same cost as the roll-up door. So I think the roll-up door is the way to go. So let's go back through the office. Here's the remnants of phones and security. Fairly modern ADT alarm system, probably a cellular transmitter there. Looks like probably backup power. Not sure what that is. Could be phones probably. I know that we already checked with Comcast. They did have Comcast internet here. Here's an old double phone bell up there. So when it would go off and you were working underneath a car, you'd hear it ring. So that's kind of cool. Here's probably the original electrical box. Won't open. This was probably put in when the building was built in the 50s. Back through the office, a security keypad there. Light switch inside a box, very interesting. plexiglass over the window. Through this side, here's the other roll-up door. That'll be going away. This was most likely the original outside wall of the building, and the room through the glass, which we call the Annex, was added later on at some point. Nobody really remembers when. And so if you look at this wall, so this is the wall back into the office, solid concrete block wall, loft area up there, it's all closed in. We got this cool automotive display thing up here. It says Dayton. I think it was for either fan belts or maybe radiator hoses. I don't know. We're going to try to find somebody to give that to because it's old. It's probably from the 50s and I don't know, maybe somebody wants it. And then we got this concrete block wall. This on the other side of this, in this corner over here, would be where the bathroom is. And here we have the remains of a water heater. We go into here, into what we call the Annex. The Annex is different in some respects than the rest. It could be nearly as old as the rest of the building. It does have steel sash windows, although none of them open except for that one back there. Looks like it would open. So it's probably after the original building was built, but it probably wasn't that long after. Could have been in the 60s. Or something like that, because otherwise you'd have more modern windows. You know, you certainly would have maybe had aluminum windows by then. This area, yeah, these are steel. And see, lock here. So it would open at some point, not any longer. Remnants of a big old bumblebee. You know, they got really giant bumblebees here in Tennessee. It's really kind of crazy. Anyway, this area with the collapsing roof and the collapsing ducting and so forth, but they did leave us a really nice steel desk, and we got this really swell sofa. So if anybody really wants a really nice vinyl sofa, pretty good size, long enough to lay down and take a nap on, let me know. If you want to come pick it up, you can have it. Anyway, we got this grating thing in the floor, and by all accounts, this is a downdraft ventilation system. This booth, this was actually a spray booth where they did auto body work and painted cars, apparently. And that's what the downdraft ventilation thing is about. It's not very sophisticated. Actually, you'll see when we go outside, there's a fan on the outside of the wall right there and just sucks the air out. And then you got this air handling system with filters and junk up in the top. Another roll-up door. It's a more inexpensive roll-up door because it's got extension springs instead of torsion springs above the door. Those things have been stretched for a long time. They're just like a loaded gun waiting to go off. And then in here, we have a really swell old school load center, also known as a circuit breaker panel. Not sure how many amps it is. It's pretty good size. Let me put my glasses on. Let's see if it says. It's got some square D breakers in it. Right there. And that looks like it says it's a 200 amp main. 200 amp main's pretty good. If we don't have to upgrade that and we got 200 amps coming off the pole, that'd make me happy because that'll probably save us some money somewhere along the line. So if we go back out here, see, we even got a compressed air outlet there. Some old school outlets. And in here, we've got this air handling equipment that ventilates the spray booth. So this is all quite exciting. We got more of this hanger thing up here on the wall. It's got fan belts on it, so maybe it was for fan belts. I don't know. Nobody has a good recollection of a lot of things. Oh, and here is water. We actually were talking about this the other day. Water. If there was water in the building or not. It's gurgling. Nobody knows what might come out of it. Goes up there. Goes up there somewhere. Disappears above the ceiling probably. Can't really tell. Don't really know. Might have something here, but we're not going to tempt fate, turn the main valve on, because who knows what kind of chaos that'll create. We'll just leave it as it is. The other thing that's kind of interesting here is You've got this concrete patch on the floor. It goes across like this, and it goes down the center. And I think, no, it just goes down the center and stops. So I'm pretty sure this was for a lift at some time. Some kind of, it could have been a hydraulic, or it could have been some kind of mechanical lift to lift cars up in the air so you can work underneath and not have to get on a dolly and roll around on your back underneath them. So let's go ahead and take a walk outside. Got a lot of gravel. And this would be on the north side of the building. Get it? North side. Ha ha ha. So this is the outside wall of the Annex. That's where we were standing before. That's where the paint booth kind of thing was. And you can see it's all in very crusty condition. I guess that's why we bought it. It's got a few minor structural things to deal with. They're not major. Here you've got this stair step cracking going on in the joints of the block. Nobody's too concerned about that. If you walk around this side, this is the south side of the building. Here we have a obviously 2-code electrical jump over from the main building into the shed. I'm sure that was done up to code. At least they put it in metal clad. That's something. And if we walk around over here, it's a nice day today. It's about 82 degrees. The birds are singing. Here we have the outside of the steel door, roll-up door. It's not a fancy building by any stretch of the imagination, but up here on the top of the wall, which maybe I can get it so you can see it. Oops, too close. There are these glazed cap tiles with the little ridges on them where they overlap, like that. Gives it sort of an Asian feel up there, maybe. Don't know. We're going to talk to the architect, see maybe we can salvage some of those and work them in somewhere along the line to enhance the building and keep its history just a little bit. So we'll walk around this way. Now we're going to go down the bank here. We have to be careful. Someone actually slid down the bank last week. Wasn't me, it was somebody else. He is a contractor. So here we have this retaining wall, and when the structural engineer came out to look at things, he said, walk over here, you can get a better view of it. See, it's a fine old retaining wall. Who could want anything better? Anyway, the structural engineer said that he doesn't think he's ever seen a retaining wall that has every single possible structural problem that a retaining wall could possibly have. So we got trees pushing it over, we got blocks disintegrating, it's all bowed and shifted off its whatever it is. You can see down here at the bottom how it's teetering on the bottom blocks. It's all very exciting. These trees have to go. The one up by the building has to go. And as we walk out in the field here, all of these trees on the back of the building, they all got to go because they're all too close to the building. They're compromising it and they got to go. You can see the remains of the blue tarp. Somebody put the blue tarp up there years ago, as we understand, to help with the water leakage, but it blew off during the first windy day, and there you go. We've got some concrete block issues up there. You can see, where is it? Kind of hard. It's hard for me to see right there. You got a block that the face of it's broken away. You got a lot of moss. You can see where the water's been running down off the roof. You got the same thing going here. It's kind of a mess. Fortunately, when we tear down the interior walls, we're going to have a whole bunch of concrete blocks left over. So we can simply use some of those. Now we'll climb back up the bank. And if you remember I pointed out above the bathroom wall where there was a hole with insulation stuffed in it? Well, that corresponds with this right here. This is actually, if we go all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, that's actually a chimney. And if you look down here, you got your classic sort of chimney cast iron door clean out, and I would assume that they probably had either an oil or maybe a coal burning stove in there to heat the place up during the winter, which I guess is how you do it in 1955. You can see here, you got a lot of pointing work to do in the concrete block. Things have shifted, the mortar has degraded, and all of that needs to be taken care of. So if we walk out into the field, and we take a look at it from this. This is one of my favorite views from the back corner. For some reason or another, it reminds me of Folsom Prison. Never been to Folsom Prison, but I imagine that it should look something like this. That's kind of what it is. So let's go back inside and talk about what's going to happen. All right, we're back inside. So what's going to happen here? Well, what's going to happen here, and this is video number 2, and in video number 3, there'll be new drawings because there's more details now. What's going to happen here is, after a lot of consideration and a lot of thinking and working on different ideas, the decision was made that the building's going to get renovated, because replacing the building opens up too many cans of worms, and we don't want to do that. To give us the maximum amount of space in this building, what we want to do is we're going to raise the height of the building. Right now it's about, I think it's about 18, 19 feet tall, and we're going to add on another 7.5 or 8 feet. And basically, at the front section up there, it's going to be about 25 feet high. And that gives us enough height, even with the pitched flat roof, pitched towards the back. It gives us enough room, even in the farthest corner over there in the other bay, the one that had possibly a hoist at some time. It gives us enough room for a second floor. And we want the second floor because going up and adding another floor to it, we're going to increase the square footage by almost 50%, and it doesn't cost that much more to do that. One of the things about doing that has to do with the way the original roof was constructed. So the original roof was constructed out of 2x6 roof joists, and they're spaced approximately 16 inches on center, I would say. And as you can see here, there's this beam that goes across here, and at this end, the beam sits on this pilaster right here. And on this side, the beam sits on this wall, which is the back wall of the office, because right there is the window the girl in the office would yell at the guys to get to work through. So since this wall is going away, as is this wall, all the interior walls are going away. That means the pilasters are going away, which means you need a way to support the roof. Now, the span of the roof front to back, front being over there, it's about, give or take, 40 feet. And a 40-foot span, there's no way you can do it with conventional framing like this, because the span is too long, it's too difficult, and we don't want to have a beam and then supporting columns and blah, 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 blah for all that kind of stuff. And the other thing about this is, the way this was done originally, which apparently is not that uncommon, and it may be really hard for you to see, but we'll look at this one. See if we can do this here. This one right here, this joist. So the joist is actually recessed into a pocket that the mason left in the concrete block wall when he built it. It's not done like a modern way where you would bolt a big heavy ledger to it and then you'd have like metal hangers and all that. They didn't do it that way in 1955. And this is a fairly common way that it was done back in the day. And then you also have the issue with the current condition of all the concrete block, which is going to need a lot of repair, all the pointing and everything. Pointing is refilling and fixing all the joints, and that all needs to be done. So what's been decided, and you can see actually, if I walk up here just a little bit, I just saw this. If you look right there, little bit of light shining through, that's shining through a joint between two blocks where the mortar's fallen out, and that's not good. So the other thing about these concrete block walls are they are hollow. There is no concrete. They're not like we would do in California where you'd have steel coming up out of the foundation footing and then you build the wall, you fill up the voids of the blocks with concrete, and you add more steel, and it's all tied together, and it's all earthquake proof and everything. They don't really have earthquakes here in Tennessee much. What's been decided to do, what is the most cost effective and allows us to have our big open plan that we want, is there's going to be a big giant steel structure that's built inside the concrete block walls. Think of it as taking a bunch of erector set parts and you bolt them all together and you stand them up inside the walls. And that actually is what supports everything, including the new roof, which will be all steel with trusses and everything also. So the steel is the building, and the concrete block that's here now is more like a skin. And it's mostly decorative. They do get tied together. I'm not sure exactly. The engineers kind of tried to explain it, but it wasn't really clear to me. But they do get fastened together in some way to support the concrete block so it doesn't like tip over. Wind here is apparently a big issue. So once the steel structure is built, and well, there'll be a lot of demolition. Interior walls all get ripped out, roof gets ripped off, everything basically except for the concrete block shell gets taken away. So we'll end up with a big giant open space. There will be, if we walk back through here, and we walk back through here, and we walk back in through here, this wall between the second shop bay and what we call the annex, where the ventilation system stuff is, that wall is going to stay because the architect thinks it's a good idea. The engineer also says he thinks it's a good idea. Everything is going to get added onto up in the top. So it will be taller and taller and taller. So we'll be able to have a taller building in the annex here, which in the new building will be called the flex room. That's what it is on the plans. This is not going to have super high 25-foot high ceilings. This is going to be more like what it is now, which is more like every bit of maybe 11 or 12 feet, something like that, because it helps preserve sort of the look of the building, and we don't have to do as much work on the exterior walls, which is good. Big steel structure, big steel skeleton inside the concrete block. The steel skeleton supports everything that's new. And if we walk over here to get to the upstairs, so this area, when it's done, will be the main workshop area where I'll be fixing intercoms. The space that I'm going to have will be approximately, it'll be 40 feet front to back, and it'll be about 20 feet across. 20 feet across is give or take where this wall is. So it's a big area, big high ceiling, workbenches and things over here. He's retaining all the openings for the original windows, and they'll have new storefront windows. There'll be a storefront window here. There'll be, let's see, how does it go? Window here, window there where the door and all that is, new doors down in the other bay. All these windows stay. Way up high in the addition will be clerestory windows, big windows up way up high, and all that. So there'll be, to get to the second floor would be probably higher up than the top of the loft right here, and there'll be stairs built into the mezzanine that go up and up and up and up into that, and then that will be the second floor. The second floor is approximately 20 by 40. It's big. We're getting almost 800 square feet more by going up, which is good, and that's going to be where all the intercom equipment, parts and sets and everything will be stored, and then on shelves, all very organized like a library. There'll be a little storage room and an office for me with a big giant window, which you'll see in the next iteration of the drawings. So that's the general overall plan. See, some high quality wood shelving. If you want it, let me know, you can come get it. We're probably about a month or maybe 6 weeks away from construction beginning. We're meeting with general contractors now, and we have to choose one and then get on his schedule and. In the beginning part of any kind of project like this, there's a lot of hurry up and wait. Things take time, people are busy, and you got to get on the schedule and all those sort of things. So we want it to happen quickly, but we have to be patient because that's part of how this all goes. Here we are back outside. One of the things I've learned in driving around here is in this area, this is referred to as Middle Valley because this is Middle Valley Road. In Middle Valley, scattered here and there are all kinds of really old little commercial buildings like this. Not a ton of them, but there's easily within a mile, there's 6 or 8 more of them. And this one actually is probably in better condition than most of them. A lot of them have a huge variety of junk cars and boats and other junk sitting around them, and I think a lot of them were probably automotive shops of some kind or another, and they just sit there and gradually sort of melt back into the ground as they slowly fall apart. And I think it's kind of a shame because there's a lot of usefulness left here and somebody should do something about it. And here's the view from looking at it from the north. So in this area right here where the front of the annex is, this will go up and up and up and up. This step in the outside wall stays, and this will be sort of floor to ceiling windows. And guess whose office that's going to be? That's going to be mine. And that was the architect's idea, not mine. He's trying to do everything he can to get as much light in the building as he possibly can. So this will become windows. This will become the main entrance door. This is windows. Oh no, windows, door, windows on the end, and landscaping and so forth. That's it for today. Sort of a walkthrough of our new building. And this project, we've been told, probably is going to take every bit of 7 or 8 months to finish. Once they get started, hopefully it will move right along. But like I said, everybody's busy around here. Construction people are busy. There's not a ton of them, it seems like, so getting on the schedule to get things done can take a little bit of time. So that's all for today. Watch for more videos about the progress of this, and hope you enjoy it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and see what our future holds.